Well, welcome to our YouTube Sunday School at Hansboro Baptist Church. We're so glad to be back. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, we could not get Facebook to work out, so we've gone to YouTube, and I will be putting other addresses or this address on all my sites for you to see so you can come and join us here on YouTube. Now, remember, this is for people that can't make it to Sunday school. We have a in-house Sunday school on Sunday morning at 9:30, and then we have worship service at 10:30. But if for some reason you can't make it, you miss it, you can get both live here after the service Sunday. Sunday school, my Sunday school comes out on Fridays, and we'll be there to whenever. Worship service comes out when they're through on Sunday morning, early Sunday afternoon, probably it'll be put on here. But that a way that you can get the full service, the worship service and the Sunday school. We encourage you to let us know what you think with a thumbs up. We also ask you, if you would, to share this with people, because when people can't get out for whatever reason, sometimes people are sick, sometimes family situation or work situation, whatever it may be, you can't make it. This is what this is for, is to make sure that you have the same thing everybody else has, because that's what we're basically doing, still trying to get things adjusted right. So bear with me. Today we're looking at the number 4 of the book, and we're in Joshua at this point. We will get in Judges later on, and I think even a little bit in Ruth, but today we're number 4, and it's the winning strategy. Now, the text we have and the root of our study comes from Joshua chapter 6, verses 12 through 25. There's 4 parts to this, and it's all in chapter 6 of Joshua. So the first one starts in verse 12 and goes through 14. It's instructions to obey. 15 through 19 is victory assured. 20 through 21 is walls destroyed. And 22 through 25 is promises kept. These are the things we will look at in those verses. And that's what these verses help us understand, that there was instructions given that we are to obey. And we see the victory because of what they did. And then we see how the walls, unusual warfare, never seen anything like it, never heard anything like it. But here's the story telling us it's real. And then, of course, God keeping the promises he makes to people. Now, we think about here in Joshua chapter 6, we witnessed one of the most unusual battles plans that was ever recorded in history anywhere. We've never seen anything like this. And you won't after, because this is unique. This is God at work. Now, the people of Israel, here they've crossed over the Jordan into the promised land, the land of milk and honey. They're standing before a city that is rich, that God had promised them, by the name of Jericho. This city is a fortified city with walls so thick and strong that when you think about it, when they looked at it, and if you and I could understand the walls and stuff at that time, no human strategy was going to bring these walls down. Totally couldn't, impossible. But yet, God gives Joshua a plan that doesn't look like war at all. As a matter of fact, it goes against everything that one of our leaders in the military would say. It won't work. Just like these people probably thought it won't work. But they did what God said. You said there was no weapons involved, no ladders involved, no surge engines, nothing to break down doors, walls, whatever. Just simply marching, silence, including trumpets. And the main thing was to be obedient and do exactly what God had told them to do. And through this, God reveals this winning strategy that still applies to you and I today when God asks us to do something. Now, the first thing we look at is to start early with discipline. As verse 12 tells us, it's about the first part of this being instructions obeyed, because we see here what Joshua did and what the people did. Now, that first morning, Joshua got up very early. You see, victory begins before the battle. If you just get up and put on armor and take off out there, and don't make any kind of plans or think through what you're getting into, at least be prepared for it. The battle may be in doubt, but victory begins before the battle ever starts. It starts in the preparation, it starts in discipline, and it starts in consistency. In today's world, we often look for those things that are quick fix. Let's get it done now, and get through it. Instead of results, overnight breakthroughs, you know, we need to be taking our time, thinking about things before we get into them. I've always said when I make snap decisions, like when something comes up and I say, okay, here's what we're going to do, not even thinking about it, it don't turn out too well. But give me time to sit down with it and pray about it, call God in on the situation and listen to him and really think things over. I make a whole lot better decisions when I do that. Now, God's strategy still values faithfulness in the small unseen moments. And those are the times when you lose things. In those small unforeseen moments, if you don't make the right moves in preparation, those small moments can turn into something major and turn into losing the war. When you think about early rising, it might not be literal, but it's about priority. It's about doing things right the way God would want you to. So the question would be, do we put God first before our day begins? I've told you over and over again, we need to get up before our feet ever gets off the bed. We need to thank God for the day and ask him to help us through the day. If the day is going to be good in work, we need to bring God into it and let God help us with it. Before decisions, before stress and distractions take over our lives, let's put God in charge of them. You see, winning strategy that he speaks of here is putting God first, even when no one is watching. You don't need an audience to turn your life over to God. The second thing is follow God's instructions even when they don't make sense in verses 3 and 5. Marching around this wall is what God told him to do. That doesn't seem like a logical military plan. It sounds sort of foolish. Yet they did exactly what God said. It's about obedience, doing what God tells us. You see, today, God's instructions may still feel countercultural. Forgive when you've been hurt. People say, why should I forgive them? They're the ones that, that they should be coming to me, apologizing to me and asking me for forgiveness, but I got to go and forgive them. Well, that's not the way God set it up. We forgive people when we have been hurt. Stay honest when others cheat, because it's so easy for us to cheat because we see them cheating. And if they look like they're winning, we want to win. We need to be patient when the world rushes and trust when things don't make sense. Sometimes in God's work, when we look at it, we just don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. But that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with it. It's not going to work. We live in a time where logic often overrides faith. People like to use it. Well, it's sensible to think about this as a way to do it. Why? Because that's the way it's always worked with me in my life. But it's not always the way it works when God is involved in a thing. But God always, his ways are always much higher than ours. Winning strategy means obedience over understanding. Follow God's word no matter what. Listen, you may not understand something. You may not know what's going on. You can't see the future. You're thinking, I'm going to run head over heels into a roadblock and get hurt. But if God is leading, he won't let you. It'll be okay. That's faith. The third thing is consistency over hype in verses 14 and 15. That is when we assume victory. Victory assumed. They marched once a day for 6 days. Think about it. Around and around and around. No visible results, no cracks in the walls. This is where a lot of people would have said, I've had enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. And they would quit. You see, we live in a result-driven culture. If we don't see a little, if you will, we'd say a little daylight at the end of the tunnel, we're ready to throw the towel in and say, we can't do this anymore. If we don't see progress quickly, we assume it's not working. In this case, if they'd have quit after day 2 or 3, they wouldn't have seen the results. But you see, God was working all the time, even when the walls looked like they were unchanged. Now, think about this. Think about praying for your family. God will answer it, but He may not answer it real soon in your time. Building your career, growing spiritually, breaking bad habits. Things take a little time. You talk to God, God will work things out, but we have to be faithful and we have to be patient and consistent. You see, most victories don't happen instantly, they happen through steady obedience. That is, repeatedly being obedient to God, not just when you're asking something, wanting something, you're really good about going to God and humbling yourself. Then as soon as you get through with asking Him, you're back to doing whatever you do. No, that means that you bring this obedience from here, this doing what God said from here, into the future with you. You see, winning strategy keeps showing up. Even when nothing seems to change, it shows up. And then next is, again, victory assumed. There's a right time to shout, verses 16 and 20, as we found out in this thing. For days they were silent, never said a word. Then at the appropriate time, a time that was appointed by God, they shouted. And you see, God's time matters. Some battles that we get in, God tells us and tries to keep us silent because it requires silence. Others require boldness. You see, in today's times, there are moments to stay quiet. There's moments that we need to put total trust into God, knowing that He'll take care of it, and moments to speak, to declare, and to act in faith. The thing we need to come to understanding is discernment is the key. Not every moment is for reacting. There's a lot of times that we should just be quiet, stay out of it, let it run its course, because God's got control of it, and God's going to let it, He's going to take it to its course, and at the end of it, it's going to be okay. But if we react and get in it, we could interrupt that and change that and cause a bad outcome, especially for us. You see, not every situation needs our voices. Sometimes we just need to keep our voices to ourselves. You see, when God says move, you move, but don't move until God tells you to. Well, how are you going to know? Well, do you listen to Him? Do you talk to Him? Do you ask Him to guide you in that? You see, the winning strategy in this part of it is to know when to be still and quiet and zip this, and when we should act and when we should use this for the right cause. Now, when it comes time to use this, let's make sure that God has got control of our tongue and we're saying and doing the right things. The next thing is God gives victory in verse 20. Well, that's when the walls are destroyed. People were shocked when all of a sudden the walls started cracking and collapsing. These huge walls that no man is going to be able to break through. You see, the walls didn't fall because of some human strength. We like to say that we're strong enough to take care of things. Humans are very proud people. They really are. And they think they've got a solution to everything. That gets us into trouble. You see, these walls fell because God intervened, not because mankind did anything. Do you think that their feet clapping on the ground, do you think they're shouting because of humans did that? No. God set the thing up to do that because He wanted everybody there to see, including the ones that was losing the wall, including especially the Israelites, to see when God tells you something, He will deliver. You know, we often rely on things like connections, human connections. Well, I learned over the years sometimes it don't work because I was sent to places that there was family of people I knew personally, even some of my own family. And I should have gotten a yes, maybe. But every time I went to a place like that with connections, I always got a no. It's when I went to other places. You know, people rely on not only on connection, but money. You know, money won't buy everything. Money is temporary. Money will get you in trouble. We often rely on intelligence. You know, I don't care how many. It's like one time I went for a job, and the guy says, "Well, you got these papers, these degrees and stuff, and I can't hire you." I said, "Well, I can do the job. I know what it." He said, "Well, but you're too qualified. You're too intelligent to take something like this." You ever heard that? Influence. We rely on influence sometimes, and like I say, I've known people going to apply for jobs. One in particular with the highway department. I knew a guy and asked him to help me out, but that influence didn't work out so well. But you see, real lasting victory doesn't come through connections, money, intelligence, influence. It comes from God. This doesn't mean we don't work. It means we don't depend on our work alone. It doesn't mean we quit and go home and God's going to furnish everything. No, He gives us what we need to go out and work and supply the things we need. But it means we don't depend on just that work, because we wouldn't have that work if God hadn't given it to us. Let me tell you, I think about now, I look around my house, my family, the work I've done all these years, what I'm doing right now. And I know this, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be doing this. Don't kid yourself. You wouldn't have what you have if God wasn't there with you, giving it to you. So the winning strategy simply is trust God as your source, not just your effort, because He's the source of everything in your life, your family, your work, your food, the house you live in, the bed you sleep in. And then grace in the middle of judgment, verses 22 to 25. This is a promise kept. You remember Rahab, the lady in Jericho. Now, while Jericho fell, Rahab and her family was saved. Now, think about it. Here's a lady that was prostitute, doing all these things, but yet her and her family was saved. Why? Because she believed that the God of Israel was the true God. Now, this reminds us, when we think about her and her family, that even in destruction, God remembers mercy. God never forgets what you do. Everything you do every day, you're sowing seeds of what your outcome, your consequence is going to be. And God never remembers any of it. If you're out there helping somebody, showing mercy, God's going to give you mercy. In today's world, where everything feels divided and torn apart and harsh, God is still saving. He's still restoring, still honoring faith, even from unexpected people. Sometimes when we least expect Him, there He is. That's like the future. One day we're going to least expect Him. He's going to open the sky and come for His people. You see, the story of Rahab was a fact, but she wasn't perfect. But what helped her, and is going to help you and I, was she believed. She believed in Israel's God. She believed in the God of the universe. She believed in the Creator God. Winning strategy is that faith positions you for grace. And that's important for you and I to remember. Now, as I start bringing this to a close, think about those things. Think about where you're at in your life with the things that God has called you to do. Now, when we think about, the strategies of life that we talk about, the strategies for winning in life hasn't changed. God doesn't change. When God lays out a plan, it's perfect. He doesn't have to have a plan B, C, D, E, whatever, because when He lays one out, it's guaranteed to work. It's perfect. There's a guy who says you can take it to the bank. We need to put God first. We need to obey Him fully. We need to stay consistent, trust His timing, depend on His power, and walk in faith, knowing all of these things. That putting Him first, that obeying Him fully, and staying consistent, trusting His timing, and depending on His power, that when we walk in faith, all of that is because of that. We walk in faith knowing all of those things are fact, are true. You see, Jericho represented the impossible walls in your lives today. We have them in our lives today. Maybe we don't see a wall that's 10 foot thick standing in front of us, but we have walls that's 10 foot thick that's out there, like fear, addiction, financial struggles, broken relationships, and absolutely uncertainty. We live in a world that is so turned upside down that uncertainty is a major factor in the world that we live in. But you see, God is saying this: you don't need a new strategy. You need my strategy. And my strategy started when I created this thing and created you. I gave you my strategy. We have a Bible that talks about his strategy. If we take his strategy, we don't need anything else. His strategy has never changed. We don't need a new strategy. And if somebody comes in and says, I got a new strategy I want to give you, I'd be careful. And when you follow his strategy, walls today still crush and fall. So all of these things, the fear, addiction, financial struggles, broken relationship, uncertainties, all of these walls will crumble in front of you. Now, God said you'd go through tough times, and we do in the world we live in. We go through tough times. Everything is not so easy. But if we put God first and we do what we said, walk in faith, knowing that all of these things, he's creator. He's in charge of them. He can make those things work. You can't. But putting him first, walking in faith, knowing that he's still there, these walls of this world and Satan and evil and flesh will all crumble and fall. Because he can make them do that. But only he can. God bless. I hope you enjoy these. And tell people about our new YouTube thing. Again, if you come here and see this, if you'll subscribe, every time we do something, it'll notify you that we're doing something. If you want to watch it, you click into it. Invite people to come. This is open to everybody. This is for anybody. We got a lot of shut-ins out there. We got people that's sick every weekend. You see, my wife and I both we're so close to being shut-ins, it's unreal. We don't go a lot because of our health. We got some issues going on. But this is what this is for. You know people out there that can't get out, that's sick. And sometimes maybe you can't make it. Well, you got YouTube here where you can find our worship service after Sunday morning, and you can find Sunday school after Friday, starting on Friday. And you can keep up with us and have the same thing that will go on during our regular service in-house. Invite people. You know people we don't know, but you could invite somebody that needs this very much. God bless. I hope you enjoy this. Father, thank you so much for our new program here on YouTube, and I pray that the people that come listen to it will subscribe and continue coming and supporting and helping us to reach out to those around. And I pray that they will share this and let people know where it's at. Share the address that I'll be putting on there and where they find this, and help people, because they could be the difference of one person coming to know you and not knowing you. They know people we don't know. We can actually reach the world if everybody out there would share this and invite people to come. So I ask you, Father, to burden the hearts of those that sees this, will tell others about it and share it with them, to let them know that your word is here to be found here, and that you are here to be met. And here they can hear about the love and the things that you do for us that you can do for those that don't know you. And I pray by them doing that, that people that don't know you will come and get to know just how wonderful you are and what you can do for them. Father, help us to be the difference of being the light in this world and cutting out the darkness in this world. Give us that light and let us go out and do what we're supposed to do, and that is tell people that you love them. Thank you for that, Father. And we thank you for this new group. We ask you to continue blessing us and be with us and help us to bring the true word that only you can give us to bring. Father, I ask you to be with those who go into whatever situations in their life, troubles might be, sickness, financial, family, job, whatever it is, Father, I ask you to help them with it. And Father, I ask you to lead, God, and direct us and forgive us of where we have failed you. For this, we ask in your name. Amen. God bless you. I will see you next week with the next session, and I hope you enjoy this. Like I say, subscribe to it. Join us each week for this, and invite others to come. God bless, and I'll see you next time.